Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Sagittarius energy, and like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. The top row we'll refer to as high vibe Sagittarius energy, and the bottom row as a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy. We've all got our dualistic nature. We have our more hopeful, believing nature and love, and in our dreams, our creative, inspired, intuitive nature, but we've also got our more worldly, shadowy nature of fear and insecurity and pride and ego and immaturity and wanting reward without effort. And some people are struggling within themselves. They would like to maybe live their life differently, but their own worldly or kind of shadowy nature challenges them, and we can all repeat an old pattern until we're ready to move forward in life differently. We've all got to overcome some of our fears and insecurities, and some people right now are still struggling within themselves, and there's going to be other people in the world who are going to be moving forward in life differently because their loving, more hopeful, believing nature kind of won the debate within themselves. And when some people move forward in life, there's going to be some other people in their life that aren't going to be moving forward with them in that way and viewing life that way. The truth sets us free to live our life differently, and it's about healing or growing or maturing or facing our fears or looking at life differently. And when one person does it, doesn't mean that everybody in their friend group or family group is going to have healed or look at life differently. So, and people will be handling this energy differently. And, it's not a personal reading. So I'm just going to tell you all the different stories I see here of how different people could harness their Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius high vibe energy is about higher learning and education, wrapping your brain around this game of life. Quit letting your fear or your lust or your greed or your pride or your lazy nature or your petty, envious, jealous nature run your life. And some people, life's about learning lessons. Some people have learned more of those lessons than other people. And we want to be in relationships with people who are kind of on the same page as us. So listen to your intuition about where you're at in the story. Listen to your intuition about where other people are at in their life. The reason for the high vibes reading is the 10 of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. It can be hard to change habits, to change the way you view life, to keep pursuing your dreams and not giving up your dreams. It takes a lot of effort. The tens in tarot talk about completing a cycle. We had a pattern, a way of living life. And if we don't want to keep repeating that same pattern, it takes a lot of work and effort. And Sagittarius is fire sign energy. You have to be motivated and inspired and driven to want to even do that. And that's why some people don't do it. The only cards showing in the top row are 2 cards that I view as Cancer energy, about love. Love of self, love for not wanting to keep repeating old patterns. Shadowy energy can be there's something about it. The reason for the bottom row's reading is judgment. We reap what we sow. There's consequences for our actions. And if people have realized, I've lived my life a certain way, it's not aligned with my truth anymore. It's not emotionally fulfilling. High vibe energy is about being independent, knowing your worth and value, knowing how to fill your own cup emotionally, feeling stable and grounded within yourself. And if we've been living our life a certain way, that we finally have to call judgment on it. Like, I can't stay at this job. I can't stay in this friendship. I can't stay in this relationship. I can't live my life like this anymore. And love is the answer. And they saw the truth of it. And out of love for themselves, they got in the driver's seat of their own life. The Chariot talks about, I do have this dualistic nature. I do have this battle within me. Yes, I want these things of the world, but do I want them to such an extent that I'm willing to give up love or give up my dreams or be in unloving situations or things I don't enjoy or kind of driving my life off into the ditch? I need to take the reins of my dualistic nature, and I can't, if I'm a really loving person, I can be a very loving person, but if I'm enabling people in their poor behavior, and I'm not in just and fair and balanced relationship, because love requires people be held accountable for their actions in the Judgment card. And sometimes we're in relationships with people who don't want to be held accountable for their actions. They want us to keep indulging them in their poor behavior. And sometimes we're indulging ourselves in poor behavior. What about a just and fair and balanced life and being in relationships with people who are operating from love, who are motivated and inspired by love, who want to be just and fair in a relationship, and they maintain balance within themselves instead of enabling poor behavior in themselves where they're constantly going off and doing whatever they're doing that could be in shadowy energy, kind of prideful or bossy or controlling or, things like that. We have 2 cards not showing themselves on the top row. And the way I view that is that there's some things about you people don't know. The kings can represent how we present ourselves in the world. And we can all present ourselves any way we want. Is that really the truth of who we are? The feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. High vibe people really are taking action in their life, having hope and faith and belief in love, not out of pride or ego or fear or insecurity or codependency. And some people don't know that because there's a lot of other people who wear a false mask. They present themselves as like loving family people, but that's just the mask they wear in order to try to get other people who love and believe in themselves to get in a relationship with them. But they're maybe not as emotionally mature as the people who've really gotten themselves in the driver's seat of their life, tempered their more worldly, egoic, immature nature. But the other people want to present themselves as being that type of person, but they're really operating more from ego. They just maybe want to look, the Chariot card can talk about victory and success. I want to look like I've moved on. I want to look victorious and successful. I want to be in a relationship with someone who's loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging, even though I'm not authentically that type of person, but I can act like I'm that type of person. And so other people can see other people in the world. You're going to meet other people in the world, and you're going to have to decipher who's authentically seeming to be, and you're listening to your intuition. Who are the people who authentically are loving and emotionally balanced, and who are the people that are more about the ego or the image or the status or just want to get in a new relationship, just want to look like they've moved on. But shadowy Chariot can be people, I'm more about looking victorious and successful, driven more by ego. And what some people, we don't know about people is that we could harness these energies differently. And high vibe people have learned that lesson. Not everybody is who they present themselves as being. And some other people who might try to get in relationships with some high vibe people don't realize that some of the other people have learned these lessons in life. So some people could be hiding, they harness this energy in a shadowy way. Other people that they don't realize harness this energy in a high vibe way. And when people decided to live their life differently, they had to reject kind of aligning with these energies in a more shadowy way. And when they did, they were willing to cut people out of their life who do harness those energies in a more shadowy way. And now they're harnessing them in a more high vibrational way. So we start out with the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles I view as Taurus energy. It kind of has to do with our philosophy of life. Taurus energy is earth sign energy. So there was a time when people were more caught up emotionally investing a little bit more in their more worldly nature, more driven by the things of the world or things that they wanted to indulge in. And some of those people could have been in the Queen of Pentacles can talk about workplaces, relationships, marriages. And they got out of some situations in their life that they had been investing in because they could have found it overwhelming. And the Ten of Wands is also the reason why the reading came out. maybe they were in relationships with people who harness this energy in a more shadowy way, and shadowy Sagittarius, instead of about higher learning and education, people can have a lot of things that overwhelm them, or they are kind of more immature. They are more driven by these things of the world. And other people realize that. You have a lot of things that overwhelm you, or the things that drive and motivate you aren't to move forward in an emotionally balanced, loving relationship. You might want to be indulged in some way. You like to indulge in the relationship, but you never really are motivated and inspired to work through the things that manipulate you, that keep you from being a more emotionally balanced, loving person. And so they quit investing in those people. And when one person is holding the one pentacle in high vibe, it means they learn lessons in life. And so if they were kind of caught up in some things or things they were trying to manifest, and they could have realized it was kind of, they could have put everything they had to try to manifest it and make it work. But, you know, if you're going to be working with another person, both people have to be motivated and inspired to want to put in that work and effort, be held accountable for their actions, in their free will, make that choice, make that judgment. And some people will move forward with us in that way, and some people won't. And so they see the truth of who is willing to move forward with them in this way and who isn't. And the people who weren't, they let go of kind of investing in those people. And now they're doing this work within themselves to take the lesson that they've learned and incorporate it into how they make decisions moving forward, and to invest in loving and believing in themselves and not give up on their dreams. And so they're moving forward, making offers to people in the world who they think are on the same page as them, to determine if they are on the same page as them. And then we have the Ace of Cups not showing itself. If we make an offer to someone, but that person is more presents themselves as loving, but really they're more driven by the world, those people might not take our cup of love. And that can be overwhelming because we thought they were on the same page as us. But instead of letting it throw us, drive our life off into the ditch, we offer our self-love. Okay, not everybody I want to be friends with, not everybody I want to date, not everybody I'd like to be in a relationship with is on the same page as me. They could be in their own loving relationships and they're moving forward, because you can meet people, you can know people, you don't know they're in a relationship. You know, maybe they're in their own loving relationships and they should, of course, stay in those loving relationships. Or maybe they're not who I thought they were. And I don't really know, because some people you just don't know them well enough. Other people in your life you might know well enough, and you know they don't do love, that it is more about kind of trying to present themselves as loving, but it's more to indulge themselves, more is good for their ego or their image, or just to kind of look victorious or successful or sexually indulge themselves in a relationship, but they don't really do love. Other people you might not know why, but they know why. And if you communicated to people, this is how I'm moving forward. In the Ten of Wands, I am not going to repeat this old pattern of way of living life or way of interacting in relationships where it's not just and fair and based on love. If it's more about the ego or the image, or for some reason, like I'm supposed to be the loving person and it's kind of more about you and the scales of justice are always tipped in your favor, for some reason, I'm not doing that anymore. And if you communicated that to some people are like, what? I'd have to put in all this work and effort to get in the driver's seat of my life and quit being tipped out of balance, where either I'm enabling people in poor behavior and realize I deserve a more just and fair relationship, or you mean you're not going to kind of indulge me in a relationship and it's a little bit more about me than you or love? We're not going to be like in a more codependent, fearful, whatever type relationship. And for some of those people, that would maybe, they'd have to get out of a whole way of viewing life that is maybe not a way of life that they have ever thought of, even looking at life from that perspective. And it's like, well, I kind of do make my life about me, or I do kind of make it about the world or ego or image or money. That's why I get in relationships with people. Or I really do think it should be more about me, and they could know, to them that feels really overwhelming and they're not willing to do it. So some people will, some people won't. There's going to be different people that are going to want to move forward with high vibe people, because high vibe people are people who are independent, probably warm, loving, giving, nurturing to people when they're in relationships with them. They're balanced. They're not acting in immature and manipulative and petty and envious and controlling ways. They're authentic. And people want to be in a relationship like that, but that's not who they are. But it's great to be in a relationship with someone like that, because I didn't like the people I was in a relationship that could have been more like me. And so you just have to listen to your intuition. You will meet different people will approach you, and it's just to listen to your intuition. The people that my intuition tells me are on the same page as me, those are the people I'll move forward with. The people who I think are still wearing a false mask, more about ego and image, I'm not going to offer them a cup of love, and I'm going to move forward. And what sometimes people are looking for more codependent people who haven't learned to love themselves, and they're wearing kind of a false mask, operating from ego, and they could think that's your philosophy of life, and you're just creating this illusion. You're actually operating from ego too, and you're overwhelmed. But what they don't realize is that is no longer your philosophy. It could have been your philosophy at one point in time, really driven by these things of the world, really felt overwhelmed, but you've learned to love yourself and you're maintaining balance within yourself, and you are like determined to have this new cycle, because after the 10 of Wands, we kind of dropped the burden and we've successfully completed and closed out an old way of viewing life, or healed from the past or something, and we have that Ace of Wands new beginning. And that's what some people who would approach you don't realize. You're not wearing a false mask. You are like the real deal. I was like, oh, I thought you were just wearing a false mask like me, and we could both present this illusion that we're these inspired, motivated people in love, but it's really more just because we're overwhelmed and we want to have a new beginning. And you're like, no, sorry. No, I'm really moving forward differently. And so are some other people that you could meet, or that could make you an offer. So what's going on in the bottom row? Again, we have the Judgment card. It's also the reason why the reading came out. Some people, when they want to be in a relationship with someone, and either those people don't want to be in a relationship with them, or those people got out of a relationship with them, it can all kind of throw us in our ego. We can kind of get in our ego, kind of our competitive nature. We're sad, all those things. The difference is the high vibe people do the work to learn the lesson they are meant to learn from it. Why did judgment get called? Is it because I saw the truth? That someone I was in a relationship with, the Empress is Libra Taurus energy, Libra kind of represented by the scales of justice, Taurus being our philosophy of life. Did I get in a relationship with someone, but their philosophy of life and what they think is just and fair, and I thought they were a just and fair, and the Empress, the feminine figures again talk about how we think and feel, whether they're a male or female. You thought they were someone who presented themselves as loving, but they really could have operated more from their shadowy nature, where they are kind of more about either being indulged, or more about the ego or the image or the status, and looking victorious in the world is more what drives them, or they were overwhelmed. And you got in a relationship with them, and then you kind of realized they keep in a shadowy Fool card, they keep repeating some poor past patterns. And it's kind of like they want to keep repeating this pattern. They created the illusion they were willing to move forward to like have this new beginning. Like they were going to heal or grow or mature themselves or align with their more loving nature than their more worldly nature or self nature. But then when people get in a relationship with them, they realize they're not willing to really make that judgment of quit investing more in the world, in the past, in these old ways. Where did that philosophy of life of how they view relationships come from? Was it how they viewed how their family, people in their family or their parents kind of work together in a relationship? We're supposed to give birth to something new is what the Empress talks about. We are our own unique individuals. We can look at the good things that other people did in relationships and we say, yes, those are good foundational things that I want to have in my life. But does my life have to be exactly like their life? And well, you have to do this and I do this and you have to view life this way and I'm going to view life that way because that's how those people did it. We're creative, inspired, intuitive beings who we have our own dreams and aspirations, and the dreams and aspirations that someone else had and could have lived their life by was fine for that period of time based on how the world was and how we viewed life, but we're not stuck in like a time warp. But some people are really overwhelmed at the thought of doing anything differently. It's kind of like somebody set a template for them, or somewhere in their life, they kind of, Taurus energy is fixed sign energy, and it can be hard to budge and move. It's hard for any of us to change how we view life and what drives and motivates us, and what we view as worth putting in work and effort, and what our goals should be in life. And, everybody can be caught up in the world, and some people can really be caught up in the world. I really want the most important thing is to beat those people. Shadowy energy is competitive. I need more money, more image, more status, a more attractive partner, a more loving partner, a more creative, inspired partner. Is it all ego? Is that what drives some people? Or is it love? And because we all want these things of the world and the Lover's card, we all want to be in relationships, sometimes, the Fool card talks about we go on all these journeys in life and getting different friendships and relationships and jobs because we have all these lessons to learn, to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And initially at the beginning phase of our life, we can be really caught up in the world and the things of the world. And, we're young, we want to indulge in all these things. And we could have loving people in our life that are overwhelmed. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you living your life like that? This could drive your life off into the ditch. But we want to go do it anyway. We've got all these lessons to learn. There's all these things that we want to indulge in that we think we're sure will make us happy, and as we go through life, we call judgment on some of our more immature ways and things we kind of indulged in, maybe too excessively. And, with those things, we might be willing to incorporate that truth into our philosophy of life about those kind of things. But changing our true core foundational energy of, do I have hope and faith and belief in love? And do I love myself? Or am I haven't learned to love myself? And I look to all these things still to indulge in or make me have worth and value. Or I'm still thinking I need to work with the things of the world to manifest the things that I want to manifest. And am I still in my more defensive nature and defensive to love? And I don't trust people, And everybody's philosophy of life is different, and it's really hard to change those things. God's been working with them all this time, and some people are still, no, I'm going to still be defensive. Nope, not going to listen to my intuition. Nope, not going to do love. I get hurt doing love. I'm going to make my life more about me protecting myself, or me more about competing in the world, or I'm sure if I have these things, it'll be just like love. But The big picture shadowy energy is represented by the devil. High vibe life giving energy is represented by God. We live in a world of duality, life giving energy, hopeful believing, and kind of more, you don't got to do that. Just indulge in these things of the world. You'll be happy. It's just like love. But the thing is, the devil lies, and we have these lessons to learn in life. And some people learned and have been learning throughout their life, and they'll continue to learn throughout their life, that I go through these phases of life to learn these lessons, to get to know myself more, help me get more clear about what my truth is, what my truth isn't. And those people are willing to incorporate the lessons that they learn from, why certain things didn't work out the way they had wanted. I was trying to give birth to love, but maybe I got in a relationship with someone who harnesses more shadowy Aries energy, which can be more about themself or still caught up in these things of the world, versus high vibe Aries energy is being a leader in the world who has learned all these lessons in life and is motivated and inspired to learn these lessons. And some people aren't, I want to have a certain status and image. I want to be in a relationship. I'm good. What about your fears and your insecurities and your self-limiting beliefs or your bad habits? I'm good with them. It's like, well, other people might get in a relationship with them and they're not okay with them, Shadowy Libra Taurus can be more about living more from your mind than your heart, being more caught up in these things of the world, maybe a more emotionally detached. So shadowy energy can be a more superficial, shallow life. And if people are much more kind of creative and inspired by love, they can find it overwhelming. And the devil is about these things where we feel limited and restricted and confining and oppressed and imprisoned, that my intuition is, I got in it. I thought I would really like it. Whatever I got into, a job, a friendship, or a romantic relationship, but I feel overwhelmed because nothing changes. That's non-life giving energy. Nothing ever changes. We never give birth to anything new. We keep giving birth to repeating this old pattern. And it can be where people don't choose to want to live their life any differently, don't want to be more independent of the world, their worldly view, more independent of their ego nature. Because some people's shadowy empress is, I kind of want to be indulged in a relationship. And I think that's just unfair. I should be the boss. People should indulge me, male or female. Maybe they think because they have these things of the world, because the empress can mean that people seem abundant in a lot of ways. Well, some people are abundant in things of the world. Other people are abundant in love. And some people can think, well, because I have these things of the world, I'm attractive, I'm charming, I got social clout, I got money, I got a great body, whatever it is, whatever they think, or they're just full of themselves and their ego. They think they should be able to maybe make an offer to people who harness this energy in a more high vibe way. You're loving. I have these things of the world. We should get in a relationship. But they do think that because they have these things of the world, they should be, what they bring to the table is more important than what the loving people bring to the table. But the loving people bring the spark of life. Creativity, imagination, love, inspiration. Like, they're aligned with that life-giving energy, that magical quality that makes life worth living. And the other people could have rejected that within themselves, and they're operating more from their ego or defensive nature, materialistic nature, and they are not aligned with that kind of spark of life within them. They were given their emotions, their creativity, their imagination, their mind, their sexuality, their emotional nature, but shadowy, high vibe energy is being truthful and honest. Shadowy energy is more kind of using those things to manipulate people to get them to stay in a relationship. So like a scammer, someone who misuses the gifts they were given to make them this emotionally complex human being. So it's kind of like misusing the gifts and talents and skills and resources they were given to give birth to new things from love. And they tried to use those things for kind of their more selfish gain. How it works for them, what's best for them. And it's kind of much more self-interested. And eventually people realize that, and that they're not willing to quit emotionally investing in being more about themselves or driven and motivated more by these things of the world. And the other people are like, I'm overwhelmed, I want to be in relationships with other people who are loving and authentic and just and fair and not tipped out of balance, kind of being a little shadowy in some way or a lot shadowy in some way. And it could be that, if life's about learning lessons and being willing to take a leap of faith, you have to call judgment on some old ways of being to give birth to something new. When I was 50 and I became 18, and I was 18 and going to be becoming 21, I had to give up my more immature ways of living life, viewing relationships. I had to be willing to hold myself accountable and face my fears to go to that next phase of life, believe I can do it, have love for myself, get more balance within myself, because eventually if we keep repeating an old pattern over and over, it becomes more and more overwhelming because we're not going with the flow of life. Just like someone who's like, no, I'm going to be like a 15-year-old all my life. And other people are kind of going with the flow. They kind of realize trying to keep living their life like a 15-year-old when they were becoming 18 and 19 and 20. Why aren't they moving forward? Well, because maybe I don't think I can. It requires me to face my fears and insecurities about believing I can master that next phase of life. And that's why some people don't go to the next phase of life, because of this fear of stepping outside their comfort zone. And some people, we all can grow up thinking, yeah, I want to get a job and I want to get in a relationship, and we have this viewpoint of life, then we're going to live life like other people. We've seen other people live life. But what about still being your creative, inspired, loving self, and you continue to kind of grow and mature yourself over time? And there's just some people in the world who don't want to do that, and we just need to see the truth of it. And it's like, if that's how you want to keep living your life, if that's what drives and motivates you, it's more you, it's more ego image, it's more indulgence, whatever it is, that isn't more about an emotionally balanced, loving relationship. Some people call judgment on them, and some people right now could be calling judgment on them, and some people are, will keep repeating it. The truth sets us free, and some people don't want to see the truth yet. We can all have certain friendships and people in our life that we can find overwhelming, but we really want it to work. So we keep putting in a lot of work and effort to try to make that work. And some people are doing that, even though maybe they're the only one putting in all that work and effort to try to make it work. And the other person could be like, yeah, that's exactly how I view life. You should put in a lot of work to try to make a relationship work with me. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And some of the people, yes, we all want stability and security. We all want to be in relationships, but sometimes other loving people are indulging people in their poor behavior, refusing to see the truth that those people, love is what blocks them from the relationship moving forward. And if the other person kind of in their Aries energy and their Sagittarius energy and their Libra Taurus energy. No, no, no. I believe in love. I'm going to keep putting in work and effort to get this person to change. That can kind of be us in our ego. Why do we so desperately want to hold on to it? Are we willing to look at why we so desperately want to hold on to it? Yeah, we can love them. Are we willing to give up our dreams of an emotionally balanced, authentic, loving relationship? If the person we're in a relationship with, love is a stumbling block for them, and they, in their free will, decided, I will not do love, I think that's foolish. They've maybe already done that before in their life, and they gave up on love. I get hurt doing love. That makes me naive and gullible. And I'm now going to be someone who takes advantage of other naive and gullible people. I'm not going to budge. And at what time do people see the truth of it? If I'm a just and fair and loving person, and if you love me, but you're not willing to hold yourself accountable or choose love, am I going to live my life indulging someone and I never get my dream? Or am I willing to hold people accountable, love and believe in myself, do this work within myself, get myself emotionally balanced, work through my own fears and insecurities, and love and believe that I can manifest my dreams in reality? I'd rather move forward enjoying the people in my life and being at peace and balance within myself, believing I have an opportunity to find people who are on the same page as me, than to be in a relationship with someone who I think could be being deceptive, manipulative, tempting me, manipulating me, and manipulating the love that I have for them. I don't want to be in relationships with people who manipulate the love that I have for them to try to control me, or use these things of the world to bribe me and tempt me, or, and if someone is in a relationship like that, and those people, the people that are doing this work within themselves to start to, maybe before they hadn't really emotionally invested in themselves, to love themselves, and maybe they were kind of wearing more of a false mask, which I think we can all do and I think the hardest lesson to learn is to love yourself. And if some people that are living their life right now and in relationships with different types of people in their life, if those people kind of behind the scenes are starting to do this work within themselves in the relationship, because that's what high vibe people do. I'm in relationships with people where I feel like have stability and support and love in my life. I'm going to work through some of these things that overwhelm me. I've been dragging around some fear and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs for a while. Now that I'm in this environment, I'm going to work through some of those things too. The Fool card would be to free myself from them. I don't want those things to keep weighing me down. And I've decided I'm going to do this work within myself to love myself and work through those past pain and heartbreak and those things that overwhelm me, to drop the burden and be free of it. Well, if one person does that work in the relationship and the other person doesn't, the other person could not like it because you're not the same person you were when I got in a relationship with you. You've kind of freed yourself from things that I haven't freed myself from. And that's when those people could decide, I don't want to move forward with you anymore. Because I know I have my own things that manipulate me, or I have these things that I'm still driven and motivated by, or want to indulge in, or make important in my life. Maybe because of my pain, my heartbreak, not knowing my worth and value, not loving myself, I make these things of the world how I define my worth and value, or look to those things to make me happy. And you don't seem to be manipulated by those things anymore, where at one time you could have been. And now I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore because we're not on the same page. And we all like to be in relationships with people who are on the same page as us. And if they don't want to and aren't at that stage of their life where, they're still driven and motivated by all those things instead of feeling overwhelmed by those things, they're okay still living their life like that. But other people do start to feel it overwhelming. And it's like their intuition is calling them to move forward in life differently. I think they would offer love and inspiration again to the people they're in relationship, maybe like one last time. And if those people aren't willing to move forward with them in a more inspired by love nature versus the codependency or the ego or the image or indulging them, they'll call judgment on them. And get in the driver's seat of their own life. And even though it's overwhelming, they're going to move forward because they just can't keep living their life the way they've been living it. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy? So there could be some people have already called judgment on some things in their life and they've already been moving forward like this. Other people after them or right now could be calling judgment, and then they're trying to approach other people. But like I say, we don't know some of the people that we meet in the world or might approach us. We have to determine, were they the more shadowy person or the more hopeful, believing nature? Did some people think, oh no, I'm going to let those loving people go. I'm going to go get in a relationship with someone who I think's more on the same page as me. And then they get in a relationship with someone who's more on the same page as them and they don't like being in a relationship with someone like themselves. Well, I just thought like those other people, I thought you'd kind of be really loving and nurturing. It's like, no, I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of about the ego and the image and live more from my mind than my heart. And we should stay in a relationship. And they're like, but you're not as loving and nurturing as some other people in the world. Maybe I will give up some of those things of the world, but I'm still in shadowy energy, and I'm just going to try to get a more loving, nurturing person to get in a relationship with me, but I'm still going to stay in my shadowy energy. And that's why we just have to listen to our intuition. Not everybody who gets out of a relationship and approaches us is in high vibe energy. They can be wearing a false mask. They're more about, well, that person didn't indulge me. They weren't, whatever, and they just want to look like they've moved on or look victorious and successful or be in a relationship with a more loving person, but they're not a very loving person authentically. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? The Ten of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, the Empress, and the Strength card. And the reason is because of the Queen of Wands. It's a process. If anybody's kind of going through the process right now of detaching, or they recently kind of detached, or, it's a process. And the high vibe people are in high vibe Leo energy, being in life-giving energy, kind of like being their own best mother, father, coach voice to themselves, aligning with truth and love to guide their decisions, and being illuminated to the truth that love is what makes it all worthwhile, but love has to be just and fair. People have to treat you the way you treat them. And they're going to put this work and effort to work through their own fears and insecurities about giving birth to something new, and to get out of their ego about these issues that didn't work out in the past, and realize everybody's got free will. Everybody's learned different lessons in life. Some people can't move forward with us in this type of relationship because they still have lessons to learn. Shadowy energy, too, can be more codependent energy, where some people are looking to find someone to take over that role of being like their mother or their father in their life because they haven't learned to get in the driver's seat of their own life and love themselves. And so they're probably going to get in relationships with people who will play that role in their life, but eventually children rebel against their parents And eventually they're going to feel overwhelmed. Initially thought, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to live life. And if it's just to realize, when I give that much control to someone, like, you're supposed to play that role in my life because I haven't learned to love myself, well, that does give people a lot of power and control in your life. And sadly, some people can abuse it. And I think when we're not taking action in truth and love and loving ourselves, we're going to go on these journeys and learn these hard lessons, trying to get us to see the truth that we need to love ourselves. And until we love ourselves and temper our own more worldly, egoic, codependent nature and get in the driver's seat of our life to be inspired to believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams, we're going to repeat. We're kind of going to be taking action, which is kind of when the devil comes into our life to let us know we got off path. Could we stay in those relationships and have those things of the world, or this in a relationship or whatever, or money or materialism? Yeah. I just think that there are consequences for our actions. For one, we didn't grow to our full potential. We didn't temper maybe our fears and our insecurities. We didn't get out of our ego nature. If we were to align with our more hopeful, believing, creative nature, we could give birth to something new in the world. Or we're just repeating an old pattern. And while some people are repeating old patterns, other people are giving birth to new things. Because they did temper their ego, and were willing to get out of their fears, their insecurities, and their ego to move forward in life differently. And to love and believe in themselves. And I think as you move forward in that energy, other people are going to see, what? You're not like repeating an old pattern of being prideful or egotistical or immature or bossy or controlling or all about you or something like other people I know in the world. You're a loving, balanced person who's inspiring and self-disciplined. Yeah, I want to be in a relationship with you. And some of those people that could make an offer to some of you, or you making offers to other people, could be stressed out that you've already given birth to something new. Or some people who might come towards you to get to know you, they're not sure about you yet. They could be in the Ten of Wands. They could be attracted to you. They could want to be in a relationship with you. But they're afraid that you're operating more from ego and you're just creating an illusion. And as you meet people, you're going to make offers to people and you're going to listen to your intuition if they're more about ego and image or themselves. And the people who are on the same page as you are the people you're going to invest in, focused on truth and love. And I think you're going to be happy because you're not living your life more from fear and insecurity or pride and ego, or staying in relationships with people who are driven by those things. And I think you are going to give birth to something new. And maybe very exciting and creative and inspired. Where people are, high vibe Leo is being authentic. I'm not hiding behind my ego. I'm not hiding behind my defensive nature. I am authentically giving and receiving in love, and I'm not trying to manipulate anyone, control anyone, not trying to indulge myself selfishly in a relationship. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming up? Okay. The Two of Wands, the Lovers, the Fool, the Emperor, yep, and the Queen of Swords. And the reason is because of the King of Wands. If people keep repeating some poor past patterns, like you should indulge me, you should be more motivated by these things that I'm motivated by, or, you shouldn't call judgment on me, you shouldn't require me to grow or heal or mature myself. You should stay codependent on me. You should indulge in these things that I like to indulge in. Eventually there's going to be some high vibe people in their life. They have a dream and they're inspired by their dream, and their dream is love. And they've been trying to make this work many times, probably. And eventually, it could have been the Emperor harnesses all four kings. I've learned lessons in all these different areas of life, living life from my mind, living life from my heart, living life from my worldly nature. Maybe the last one that some people had to learn was tapping into their, and I do kind of, from having done tarot for a while now, I kind of wonder if high vibe fire sign energy isn't the hardest one for us to incorporate and learn lessons about, because our mind and our heart and the pentacle suit of the 3D world, those are things we deal with all the time. But high vibe fire energy, in our more worldly fire energy, there's all these things we want to indulge in. But to really be bold and brave enough to listen to our intuition, not give up on our dreams, to really stand up for ourselves and what we believe in and live our truth, that could have been the final one that some people have had to learn, and they've learned it. They looked at life from a higher perspective. They put things in perspective. The Queen of Swords, Aquarius energy, they have a dream. The Two of Wands, they had a dream, but they weren't maybe previously looking at life from a higher perspective. We can all want these things of the world that we want. Do I need it today? Do I need it next week? Do I need it this year? Can I chillax? High vibe Sagittarius energy is about being patient. I want these things of the world that I want. And some people, instead of moving forward in a more emotionally balanced, loving way, they took all their sticks and it's like, I'm going to try to force these things that I want. And you're going to love me, and I'm going to have this success or this money or this status or this image, or I'm going to try to make someone love me. And it's like, oh my God, be patient. If you want a truly abundant life, it takes work and effort, but some people aren't patient and they kind of wanted what they wanted without maybe having to put in work and effort. And then they could have gotten in relationships with other people who maybe they went to go get in relationships with people who had those things of the world that they wanted. But those people maybe aren't very loving, or if they're loving, they're immature and they're more about themselves, or they're bossy, or they're controlling, or they're egotistical or self-centered. It's like, really, are we willing to tolerate someone in that energy just because we want to look victorious and successful? We want to be in a relationship. We want these things of the world. Other people are putting in, the Knight of Pentacles is slow, steady steps. Like the rabbit in the hare. Oh, wait, what is it? That story. Oh, the turtle in the hare. It takes slow, steady steps to really manifest your dream into reality. And some people find that overwhelming and they want what they want. And people who try to get what they want without putting in, also Virgo energy, is about being self-aware, growing and maturing yourself, dealing in truth and love in high vibe. Other people are like, screw that. I want these things. And there will be consequences for that, and people will judge them. And if other people get in relationship with them, and those people are more about putting in work and effort in love, eventually those people, even though I could want this for a variety of reasons, and I could love the person, I have a dream, and this is not my idea of the dream life. That might be some of those other people's idea of the dream life, and it might work for them, but this is not working for me. And I call judgment on myself and them, and the world can judge away. I am going to listen to my intuition. I am going to speak my truth, act in truth, because the Virgo is holding the truth. I am willing to illuminate the truth, reveal my truth. I have felt overwhelmed living my life like this. It might have all these things that looks wonderful, like I could be overwhelmed in a job that I don't like, and I was unwilling to give it up because of the status or the ego and the image, and I'm done. And I'm going to listen to my heart, my intuition, what really motivates and inspires me. And I could have been in a relationship with someone I love, but I just, whatever shadowy ways of being, or I'm the only one kind of being more loving and balanced, and they're kind of indulging themselves, it's not worth it. I'm going to go find people who are more balanced. And the other people are going to do that. You know, periodically when people are kind of shadowy, other people are going to eventually see the truth that your kind of shadowy King of Wands is Aries energy, just like the Fool card. Some of you could have been dealing with an Aries, but everybody in their Aries energy of self has to decide, do I indulge my more immature worldly nature, or am I willing to emotionally grow and mature myself? It's not just about me, it's about love and working together with people cooperatively in love. And I need to temper my ego. It's not just about me and the things I want. If I want to work with loving, authentic people, we both have our dreams. We both bring things to the table that are valued and appreciated. And I'm not willing, I've learned this lesson and some other people haven't learned that lesson. And I'm not willing to give up my dreams to stay in this. And when those people leave, it's kind of like God uses shadowy people to help other people get clear about their truth. There'll be other people that want to be in a relationship with this person because they could look like they have all these things in the world. They could have a good, they could have status, image, power. It looks like they've gotten justice in the world. They could present themselves as a very emotionally stable, like loving person, but that's more the facade. They really are more about themselves. And there'll be other people who will be tempted to be in a relationship with them because they'll be attracted to them. Maybe they're attractive. Maybe they look like a shining star. Maybe they look like a boss in the world in some shape or form. And there's other people who are going to get in a relationship with them. And if it's other people who have hope and faith and belief and love, the same scenario is going to play out again. And for some of them, that some of you have already detached from, some of the people they've gotten in a relationship with are going to detach from them too and call judgment on them. You know, I kind of have learned lessons in life. I'm not as naive and gullible as I was when I was 18 or 21. And I'm kind of realizing that you aren't really who you say you are. It's more about the ego and the image or you or indulging you. And I'm going to leave. But eventually, what they might not see coming is they are going to have to be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. Because other people who are willing to learn lessons in life aren't willing to stay in a relationship with them because they are kind of about themselves, maybe kind of bossy and controlling, and think they're the center of attention and everybody else should put aside their pride and ego in this relationship, but never them. And there's probably going to be other people in the world that people get out of relationships with that are going to be willing to get in a relationship with them because they also weren't willing, aren't motivated by love, are more motivated by the world, or they also have a problem that they don't want to see the truth of. And they could get in a relationship with someone who is more on the same page as them. They both might be a more emotionally cold and detached. They both might be kind of egotistical or bossy or got some poor habits that they continue to repeat. But if that person is willing to stay in a relationship with them and they have someone, for some people, they just want to be in a relationship. I got someone who's in a relationship with me. They're maybe defensive of moving, loving and believing in themselves. Perfect. Let's stay in a relationship. This makes logical, practical sense. We might have some status and image and things that make it look like it's a just and fair relationship. But it's people who are trying to control things versus going with the flow. And so they do kind of, and then repeating an old pattern where it's kind of like there's nothing new to learn there and there's nothing new growing there. Different people, different faces, different people, but it's the same thing over and over and over. Because they're not willing to take this more creative, inspired action from love. And then they maybe get in a relationship with someone else who also uses their emotions and their sexuality and their things, the assets of the world, to try to manipulate and control them. And if it has those things of the world that they were sure would make them happy, and if that's the most important thing, I am not willing to be held accountable for my actions. I am not willing to emotionally grow and mature myself. I have this way of living life. This is the way I want to live it. I found someone who will stay in it with me. Well, that's a just and fair relationship. What's unjust is for someone who is more immature and about themselves, or more about indulging in the world is more important to them, to try to trap someone who is loving in that relationship with them and try to control and manipulate them. That's an injustice. And that's why the loving people end up feeling overwhelmed in the relationship, because God is trying to get them to call judgment on these people. This is not a just and fair and balanced relationship. It's an imbalanced relationship where one person is kind of indulging another person in their poor behavior. And that is not just and fair. And these people, I was going to say sometimes they could go back and forth, but it can be where someone has a philosophy of life, which we all can have had, where we indulge people who seem to have more of those things of the world that we want. And if they are the one indulging someone, or which I kind of think might be what happens, because I think what goes around comes around. So if they were someone who thought people should indulge them because that's their philosophy of life, I think now they're going to have to indulge someone. Someone who has more of those things of the world that they want. If that's status, image, looks, sex, whatever, I think they're going to have to kind of indulge that person. And I guess if that's what drives and motivates them, they're living their life dream. Just for other people, that wasn't their life dream, to make their life about whatever they're making about. Other people want an emotionally balanced, loving, authentic relationship is more important to them. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.